Back on the Gianna Volpe Report, brought to you by Maximus Health and Fitness, 130 East Main Street in Riverhead.
Hey guys, we're back from the break. We're bringing on Sorry.
We're so smooth around here.
Yeah, but what's going on, everybody? We've got Brian Russell, who we just talked to Rosemary Batchelor. She's stepping back. Brian Russell is stepping forward here on the North Fork. Had the soft launch for the food truck at Greenport Harbor Brewing Company. I guess that was last weekend, Brian?
Yeah, that's correct. We had a soft opening on Friday and then rocked it through the Columbus weekend. It was amazing.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. Columbus Day weekend was insane this year.
Oh, it was crazy. We fed over 400 people Saturday and Sunday. So I mean, I can't believe it.
What is it with the food trucks? Let me ask you this, because there was a time, Brian, you know, a hot dog truck on the side of the road, it was kind of like, you know, in a pinch it would work. But now it's like you watch, like Food Network does the great food truck races and all, and you guys are like a hot commodity. What gives?
And on Long Island, it's been a huge, there's been no end to the rise of food trucks out here.
So give me the skinny.
Well, you know, what I feel about the food truck is it's a great way for, you know, a cook or a chef to get out there without spending all the money on a brick-and-mortar restaurant. To, you know, get some food out there to the people and just, you know, express themselves. I think it's great.
It's recession-based restaurantry.
Yeah.
So is the North Fork Test Kitchen separate from the food truck?
No, well, it's interesting. The North Fork Test Kitchen I created to stay actively cooking out here in the North Fork while I open up the restaurant at Greenport Harbor Brewery in Peconic.
Right, because I've been waiting for that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So what I did was I created an Instagram account around it, and then I just, you know, started posting my recipes and dishes and my experiences on the farm at Biophilia in Jamesport, and it kind of just like turned into a thing.
Cool. So are you helping out at Biophilia?
Yes. So my wife and I belong to the CSA, and we try to go every Thursday and actively work on the farm, and it's been an amazing experience.
That's awesome. I was telling Abra that I might go by and help out today because there's like a barn dance or something for the organic farmers tonight at Halleckville. And so I was like, well, I'll come and help out at the farm beforehand before we get ready. But so that is an amazing place. We've had Abra on the show many times to talk about her quail operation and everything. But so tell me a little bit more about the truck, and about your approach, like what you like to cook, what your thing is.
Okay, well, the truck we just acquired, and basically what I do on that is just bring fun beer drinking food. So I'm doing, you know, steamed pork buns, and poutine, and bratwurst for Oktoberfest. And so the truck stays on the property at Peconic for now. And then so when we open up the restaurant, then the truck will go mobile. But the restaurant itself will be a completely different thing. That's going to be like very farm to table and very beer focused.
Right. Now I remember when Rich gave me the scoop on the restaurant, on the bottling operation. When I first heard your name, he said Brian Russell from Italy, correct, in New York? Is that where you were?
Yes, that's right.
He's coming in here. He's going to do an 11-mile radius, and basically you're going to source your ingredients within 11 miles. Is that still what you're doing?
Yes, so that is the concept. So I'm going to source as best I can from the North Fork because I feel like there's such a bounty of ingredients out here that they really need to be, showcased and really acquire anything I want. And the amazing thing about working at the brewery is that all of our spent grain from a brew day every day goes out to feed the local animals at the farm.
Right.
And the thought of those animals to be on the dinner table one day on the property is just so exciting to me.
Right. It's that farm to table to farm to table to farm. I posted a year ago yesterday my piece about that, about spent grain and feeding it to the animals, came out in Edible East End. Right now I've got one about Kasi, North Fork. But how are we doing on time, Bruce? So what do you think, Bruce? What kind of beer do you like? Oh, are you going to pair? Obviously, you're going to be using beer in the food and pairing it with the certain types of beers.
Yeah. So what I like to do is I create a dish first. Since the seasons move through very quickly and ingredients change, I create a dish first, and then I sit down with everyone in the restaurant. We all taste on it, and then we taste beers next to it, and then we all figure out as a team what pairs best with each dish, and that's how I go about it. So I'm not just like dumping a bunch of beer into a soup. It's a bit more refined than that.
Yeah, and that's excellent. I like the fact that you bring the whole team in on it.
Yeah, that's really important to me. It's not just myself, it's the whole kitchen staff and it's the front of house staff. It's a machine,
What's interesting about this, I feel, first of all, I really feel unqualified in this conversation.
Why?
Because, you're talking about what beer pairs with what. As long as it's like an ale, I'm a happy boy.
What do you
goes
what
with
kind
almost
of beer
anything.
Do you like? I gotta introduce you into the whole craft beer scene.
This is really intimidating for someone like me. I don't know how to explain it to you.
But you know what? Young men just like yourself are totally immersing themselves into it every day. Guys that have ordered, they've ordered a Bud everywhere they've gone for the last 40 years are now, experimenting with different styles, different companies. It's becoming more where you see what kind of beer you like, and you start seeing different companies, that type of style.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point, and the purpose of the restaurant will be to push beer education with the food. So it'll be an accessible atmosphere, and you'll walk away from the meal, having learned something about beer and food. I think the experience will be a lot less intimidating than it sounds.
Which is awesome. I like it, the experience. There's a lot of the things that are coming into the North Fork that are really successful are things that offer the quote unquote experience, where people, because we have a tourist driven economy, and people come in wanting to learn something and often leaving with really learning something.
I agree. I'm very passionate about, pushing education in the restaurant. So, the guest will walk away having learned something. It's not just about sitting down, ordering, paying, and leaving. I want to create a special experience. Something that will bring people back.
I'm curious a little bit about you personally. What it's been like for you to move to the North Fork from New York, and
Yeah, it's been amazing. So my wife and I grew up an hour west of here in Dix Hills, and so we were both born on Long Island, and then we both went to school and kind of came back, and then we lived in Brooklyn for a long time, and then I worked at Italy La Birreria for 3.5 years, and we both decided that we wanted to come back to Long Island and kind of get back to our roots. So this has been an amazing experience for the both of us.
That's really the natural progression. That's the way that most people sort of do it from out here.
Yeah,
You go into the city, you go to the city, you grind, you make your money, and then you come out here. Although usually a lot of the people do it when they're much older, but
Yeah.
you're from out here. I was thinking maybe you were from New York or you're from somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm from Long Island, and it was really the major motivator for me was that I was buying all of these amazing ingredients from the North Fork, at the restaurant in New York City. But I really wanted to come out here and physically touch them and go to the farms and create a relationship with people like Abra and Phil at Biophilia. That I'm really passionate about that, and it's been such an amazing experience. So I can't even hard to put into words, really.
That's evocative of Chef Hayden. Absolutely, that was his whole philosophy. In a nutshell, is exactly what you're expressing. It really makes me think of Jerry Hayden.
When you were growing up in Dix Hills, the King's Dairy Farm was off Jericho Turnpike in that neck of the woods?
Yeah.
And that's gone now. And there were a couple of farms, like in Melville. There were a few farms, and a few in East Northport, where I grew up, because, we weren't that far apart from each other. Half Hollow Hills, east or west?
We were both Half Hollow Hills West.
Aha. Yeah. Attica South, Comac South, Vanderbilt Parkway. Yep.
So Brian, how can we taste? So, is your wife involved? Should she work in the business with you?
Well, she's a programmer, but this weekend she stepped up to the plate big time and worked the truck with me the whole weekend, 15 hours a day, straight through. And I have to say, I think she might have a future in the business.
Wow.
That's the toughest thing, is like husband and wife working together don't always go so well,
Yeah, but that's adorable.
And these guys, apparently it went really well. I'm impressed.
Well, yeah, it went really well, actually, because, she's had to deal with me for so many years, and she knows, she knows my style in the kitchen and, the food. So it was actually quite great. And, now I'm going to have to train someone else to work the truck with me. And I'm kind of freaking out about that.
Right. Well, so how can we taste your stuff? And where can we find you? All right,
great. So I will be open at Greenport Harbor Brewery.
Main Road in Peconic. Oh, I think we lost him.
I think we just lost him.
Oh, no.
What's what happens when you hit the wrong button on those iPhones?
Oh,
anyway,
no.
He's at the Greenport Harbor Brewery in Peconic.
Yes, he's at the Greenport Harbor Brewery in Peconic. And they're open almost every day. Maybe even every day. Oh, here he is.
I'll bet you this is him. Hello there.
God, guys, I lost the call. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, we were like, oh, no. Okay, so go.
Okay.
Quickly.
So I will be at the brewery, Greenport Harbor Brewery in Peconic, Friday through Sunday, and tentatively either a Thursday lunch or a Monday lunch, depending on business. But I will always be there. I'll be parked right up front, and the menu will always be changing, and I'll bring in specials and, local treats for everybody.
Well, thanks for being on the Gianna Volpe Report, Brian Russell. And up next we'll have, is Ed Romaine?
Ed Romaine.
Excellent.